Okay, so we're continuing in Masechet Ketubot. We're Daf Gimel Amud.
Recording in progress.
Daf Gimel Amud Bet on the bottom of the page, and you will recall that this is the middle of a pretty long sugya, and the sugya actually started in Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. If you recall, we started the sugya a few weeks ago. I think even before Pesach. Amar Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak, Amarav. Lo shanu ela mitekanat Ezra ve'ilach. Right, that was how the sugya started, and the purpose of that was to explain that the Mishnah only applies. The rule in the Mishnah that says Betulani said leyom revi'i only applies in situations where the bedin yoshvim b'sheni u'b'chamishi. You will probably recall that, right? And then towards the end, or towards the bottom of Gimel Amud Aleph, we asked a question: how about what about getting married on Sunday? So I'm going to just read it one more time. So they said, what about the law of shakedu? So we said, well, meaning in a place where the bedin is not sitting necessarily on Monday or Thursday, right? So they can get married whatever day they want to get married, when provided that the next day the bedin is sitting. But you have the law of shakedu. So this is how that was the predicate for the sugya. The sugya introduces the source for the law of shakedu, right? That's how we started the sugya 2 weeks ago, and basically the statement of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak was used as, or rather Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak, I misspoke. It's Rav Shemuel bar Nachman. The statement of Rav Shemuel bar Nachman was used as a way to segue into the question of shakedu. My shakedu. You remember that? And then we brought the long beraita, and that beraita dealt with several topics. Topic number one was, of course, the question of ta'anat bitulim and mashkim lebedin and shakedu, that we know. But then we went to a few other topics. We went first to the topic of Kiddush Hashem and martyrdom, and we discussed that last week. That was a question of martyrdom, and the great Kiddush there, I think, of my father was that we don't have the Jews, we do not have the concept of martyrdom. Rather, we have the concept of Kiddush Hashem. And the concept of Kiddush Hashem is not the same as martyrdom. Martyrdom is like, you want to kill yourself or commit suicide. And the Kiddush of my father, was that actually Kiddush Hashem doesn't require you to commit suicide. Kiddush Hashem means if you're given the choice to live or to be killed by somebody else, then you choose to be killed by somebody else if that's what the law requires, right? So certainly and Avodah Zarah, it didn't apply in the case of the woman because the woman herself wasn't given a choice. The Hegmon came and he didn't say either you be with me or I'll kill you. He basically took her and he was with her. So there was no Kiddush Hashem there, right? So you remember that was one discussion we had. The second discussion we were having is on the law of what about getting married on Monday, right? So we said because the Hegmon would come to the city on Wednesday, we would allow the wedding to take place on Tuesday. They said, what about Monday? So Monday would be allowed if there's honest. In the case of honest, so that's what we're dealing with now. What was the honest? And we gave one explanation last week, that the army was coming to town and they were going to take all the food. And now we're going to start with the second explanation of honest. Again, honest being an excuse for getting married on Monday. Again, the original takana was what? Get married on Wednesday. Then we saw the baraita said, well, they can get married on Tuesday because of the Hegmon who would come on Wednesday, so we let them get married on Tuesday, right? What about Monday? In the case of honest, it's allowed to get married on Monday. So you understand where we're at? I just kind of want to give a short introduction to what we're doing now and where we're at. So we are on the law of honest and the Ika de Amres.
Monday that includes also Sunday?
No. First, that's a very good question. The answer ultimately will be, given everything we're about to study, yes, but you have to see why. So let's reserve judgment.
I think if it's honest, right? The army's coming to town on Sunday, then okay.
Right. So that was the explanation that we had last week, and now we're having a new explanation. You're correct, by the way. It will be, but the Gemara has to develop that topic. So I don't like meaning while you are at the conclusion will be yes, but let's go in the order of the sugya. So the ibayit ema. The other place for ibayit ema on the bottom of Taf Gimel Amud Bet. And I'm going to slow down. I'm sorry that I'm talking quickly. I'm going to slow down.
On the right side.
Yeah, you give me the book. I'll help you find it. The ibayit ema. Taf Gimel Amud Bet. Yeah. Okay. Next to 18. Okay. The ibayit ema. Here we are. You show it to them. You have the same version?
Yeah, right here.
Good.
Ibayit ema. Right next to the 18.
Okay, thank you very much, Albert. Okay, so I'm going to read now the ibayit ema. All right, so again, the question is, the Mishnah says, Betula Neset Le'yom Revi'i, comes the Baraita, the Tosefta, it's a Tosefta, and the Tosefta says, wait, there's a situation where also Monday she's going to get married, right? Tuesday we said last week, Tuesday she got married with one, but now Monday, the ibayit ema. So ibayit ema is a different explanation than the previous explanation. Rava said the reason we would allow her to get married on Monday, and you're correct, or any other day supposedly, was because the Hegmon is coming to town on that day, so we're going to get married before the not the Hegmon. It was the army. It was called the Asparava. The Asparava is those people who go ahead of time to prepare food for the army that's arriving. Right? So Asparava. So the Asparava is arriving. They're going to go to the wedding. Amazing food. Look at this. They have the best food. We're going to take the food for the army, right? So that's why you want to do the wedding before. Now, the ibayit ema. So ibayit ema is going to be the alternative explanation to why you would do the wedding on Monday. All right? And now I'm going to start speaking a little more slowly. Okay.
Ibayit ema is a rejection of the prior?
No, it's not.
Additional.
It's an alternative explanation. It is an alternative explanation, and you're going to see that the two explanations don't negate each other, right? Meaning the explanation that Rava gave is a legitimate explanation. It is honest of the Asparava is coming to the city.
So what's the purpose of bringing in ibayit ema?
Because you're going to see soon that there's a baraita that offers a different explanation. So Rava gave his own explanation. Maybe he wasn't familiar with the baraita. The editor of the Gemara was familiar with this baraita. So you're going to see that this explanation, the next one we're giving now, is actually predicated upon another Tosefta. So Kid Tanya, right? Ibayit ema mai mehamat ha'ones. Kid Tanya. So you see there's a baraita that, and it is a little of a dohak to say that Rava was not familiar with that. So I actually take back my statement. I reject my statement from about 45 seconds ago, which says that Rava wasn't familiar with that, and Rava was certainly familiar with the baraita from the Tosefta. This is the baraita from the Tosefta. Okay, so the ibayit ema, my mehamat ha'ones. What was the ones that we say allows the woman, the men, the couple to get married on Monday and not just on Tuesday? Kid Tanya, as per the following baraita, which is actually a Tosefta. Now, this is going to be a new topic, and this is going to be very halacha lema'aseh, because here we're going to be dealing with the laws of avlut. Right, so you're going to be introduced now to the laws of avlut, and this is one of the primary sources in the Gemara for the laws of avlut. So really, it's a great sugya that we're studying this, because last week we were dealing with Kiddush Hashem, martyrdom. It's not halacha lema'aseh in the sense that we should not know that situation, but the point being that it is a conceptual halacha lema'aseh that we need to really adjust our thinking to the correct mode of thinking. But this is actual halacha lema'aseh. Okay, so Kid Tanya Hare Shehayeta Pito Afuya. How do you have it in your?
Shehaya.
We have Shehaya. Interesting. Okay, interesting. I don't know why I thought it was Shehayeta Pito Afuya. Okay, I'm going to read it as you have it in the Ktav Yad. Hare Shehaya Pito Afui. So here's the baraita. It says the Hatan, he had the bread was baked, right? Just 1 second. Yeah, okay, 1 second. Yeah. All right, I also want to check my notes since these notes are based on my father's class. Okay, good. Right. So I'm going to read it now. So, Hare Shehaya Pito Afui. The bread for the wedding was baked. Utvacho tavuach. What does utvacho tavuach mean? Utvacho is, I'm sorry?
The cooked food?
Right, no, so utvacho is, tevacho is milashon zevacho. So zevacho, zavuach. What does zevach mean? The slaughtering of the animal. When you're zoveach the animal, right? It's called zevach, right? The animal's called zevach. So tevacho tavuach means, and the animal was slaughtered. So now you have, because let's say you have a lot of people come for the wedding, so you're going to slaughter a sheep. So utvacho tavuach, okay? Veyeno mazug, and the wine was prepared. So what they would do is they'd have wine in the barrels. Now the wine apparently was concentrated. So when we had a lot of guests, you would take the wine and you would dilute it with a proper amount of water and prepare it for the guests. So the wedding preparations are all in order. Now, I want to point out to you that when you have a vav, in Hebrew, the vav, shehaya pito afui, ut vacho, that vav, ut vacho tavuach, ve, that vav, ve yeno mazug, right? The vav can mean one of two things. It can be either and, right? So it could be the bread was baked and the meat was slaughtered and the wine was mazug. That's one possible explanation.
Or?
But here it means or. Yes, correct. Here it means or. Now it's important. There's a reason why it's important.
Any one of the three.
It could be any one of the three. Hayat pito afui, utfachot tavuach, ve'eno mazug means either. Okay? So that's what happens. So the person is ready for the wedding. What happens?
Is it still pronounced there, or would it be pronounced O?
No, it would be the same pronunciation. Meaning we don't change the pronunciation of whether it's and or, right? Okay. Alright. Umet aviv shel chatan. Interesting. The father of the chatan died. Well, they're about to do the wedding, but the father of the chatan died. Or imma shel kalla, or the mother of the kalla died. Now, I want to explain this to you, and you need to know the halakha. This has to do with the laws of aninut. The moment of death until the moment of burial, that time frame, whatever it is, it could be a day, it could be less than a day, hopefully, but whatever it is, that's during that time period, the legal status of the bereaved relative is onen. Onen is the legal status that is based on the following. At the moment that the person dies, it is incumbent upon the relative, in this case the son, to bury his father. And that mitzvah is dochei all the other mitzvot, meaning, not mitzvot ta'aseh, but meaning, since he's osek mitzvah of burying his father, he's patur from other mitzvot that should come up, right? So, aviv shel chatan or imma shel kalla? I know. Is it only aviv shel chatan? Let's say it was the other way around. Let's say it was the mother of the chatan or the father of the kalla. Would it be the same law? So what you're going to see in a moment, and we're going to be discussing this, is dafka aviv shel chatan and dafka imma shel kalla. Why? Why should it matter? Let's say it was his brother. Let's say it was his sister. Let's say it was a child, right? No, it says aviv shel chatan or imma shel kalla. In that situation, we're going to make a special rule. The laws of aninut will be suspended. And I'm going to get Harambam. If you have it on your phone or some other way, and we're going to read it because you'll understand the law. So give me one moment. It's right here. Oh, okay, I'm going to get you a book also. Oh, wow, this is nice. Do any of you have it on your phone?
Yeah, the chapter?
Yeah. So, okay, Albert, do you have it on your phone or do you need a book?
Yeah, if you have the book, it's easier.
I'm going to give you a book right now. Give me a moment. I'll get a third one. All right. Yeah.
Were you in Safaria?
Yeah.
Where did you find it under?
Here we go.
Morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's called Edel. All right. Here it is. I already opened up the Hilchot Eben for you. Here it is. And here is Hilchot Eben, right here. Okay? Right before Hilchot Melachim. Now, let's start as follows. Open up Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet. Who wants to read Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet? Of Hilchot Eben. Ike, you want to read? Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet.
Once we find it.
Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet. Wait, I kept it, I opened it to Hilchot
Perek
Eben.
Shishi you have here.
Yeah, no, Perek, let's go to Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet. Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet. The very beginning of Hilchot Eben.
ממתי?
Me'matai. You see, first of all, wait for Albert. You have a place, chapter 1, Halacha Bet. Me'matai.
okay.
Alright. You need help? I can help you find. Okay. Okay. All right. Here it is. חבוד הקיביל, מאמתה יתחייב.
ממתי התחייב אדם באבל שיסה?
מי שיסתם
No,
הגולן. From what moment? What?
הגולל.
What do you have?
I know, I just said, what do you mean?
הגולל or הגולל?
No, it doesn't have nikud. Why, you have nikud there?
Here it says גולל.
No, I know.
גולל.
Is that,
Right. גולל.
but you have nikud?
I heard a resh, that's why.
No, Hagolal, right,
Hagolal.
Hagolal. I read Hagolal. Mishiyasatem Hagolal. Okay. So I know it says Golal there, right. Now, so from what moment is the Avlut start? From the moment that they seal the cave. So they would, the way they would bury and you probably see this in Tzfat, if you go to Tzfat, they have a cave there. It's a cave, they say, I have no idea if it's historically accurate or not in any of the out, but it doesn't matter. What's important is when you go in, it's like a cave, you have to bend down to get in. And they have in the walls of the cave, so the way it would work is the family would buy a cave. And in the walls of the cave, they would have like these niches, like, like burrow. And they would put the body in the burrow and they would seal it with the stone. That's called Mishi Satem Hagolal. You understand the idea? So it's important. So if you ever go to Tzfat, you go to the grave of Chana B'Shiva Baneh, and you go inside and you see that more clearly. The idea of Mishi Satem Hagolal. Until the moment Satem Hagolal, you didn't finish the burial. And therefore the mitzvah of burying the met is still there, and you're onen. But from the moment that you sotem the golal, you're no longer onen. Aval.
אבל כל זמן שלא נקבר מת, אינו אסור בדבר מן הדברים שהאבל אסור בהם.
Now it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you're patur me'hamitzvot. Patur me'mitzvot aseh. Obviously, I don't mean that you have a ham sandwich. A person says, I'm onen, I'm going to have a bologna sandwich. No, patur me'mitzvot means patur me'mitzvot aseh. Okay. So, but this other side of the sword is that he's technically not an Avel, right? So, because he's not an Avel, the laws of Avlut didn't start it. There's certain things Avel is not allowed to do. Those prohibitions that normally fall on the Avel do not fall on him. He's an Onen, he's not an Avel.
You could shower, you could do...
Well, I mean, the minhag is not to take a shower, but you're going to see it's going to be the question of shower here. You just right now, actually, that's the example he's going to bring. Although later on, Hachamim tikenu no shower, but everything else, a ne'ilat sandal doesn't apply. Adel is not allowed to have a sandal, right? It doesn't apply. All the laws that of Avlut don't apply, except again that Abanan, the Hisa applies. But Halambam here brings the example of the Hisa. So continue.
ומפנת העם זה רחס דוד.
David HaMelech, when he heard that the child, remember when he was with Bathsheba, they had a child, and then the child was killed, right? Because of because of the Averah. So and now when the child was killed, it says Rachas David Besach. Another is sort of the Avlut is Sicha, right? It's like an anointing with oil, right? He was Roches and he was Sach. Well, how can he be Rosech Vesach Keshemet HaYeled? Answer is
רחס דוד וסח כשמת הילד, תרם
sheikaver, because it was before the burial. You understand? Okay, I want you to read that halacha. Now also read another halacha. Go to Perek Daled, halacha ba. פרק ד' החלה. So you understand, I'm introducing you to the laws of aninut so that you can understand the sugya, because otherwise you can't understand the sugya. So פרק ד' הלכה ו'. Yes, 1 second, מי שמתו. Okay. פרק ד' הלכה ו'. מי שמתו מוטל לפניו. Albert, why don't you read this?
מי שמתו מוטל לפניו, אוכל בבית אחר.
Number 1, you are allowed to eat. So the onen is allowed to eat. He's not allowed to eat meat. He's not allowed to drink wine. The avel is allowed to eat meat, and the avel is allowed to drink wine. The onen is not. Okay, now, but he's allowed to eat, obviously. So now he wants to eat, but he has the metom mutal lefanav. So first is ochel b'bayit acher. He's in the room with the dead body. He can't eat in front of the dead body. He should go to another room. Bayit doesn't mean house; it means room. Continue.
אין לו בית אחר, עושה מחיצה ואוכל.
If there is no bayit acher, that's because now you have to understand. In those days, usually there was a bayit acher. People, and you ever see, these old movies, cowboy, they had one room, there was a kitchen on the side, a stove, the bedroom, right? So, en lo bayit acher, oseh mechisa, you have to do mechisa. It's disrespectful to that, okay?
אין לו דבר לעשות מחיצה, מחזיר פניו ואוכל.
It's a symbolic act. If you don't have something to do mechisa, then turn your back to the dead body. Symbolically, you're saying, I'm not Misha Betom Mutal Lefanav anymore, right? That's the symbol of turning your back to the dead body. Okay, continue.
ובין כך ובין כך אינו מסב ואוכל.
You don't have seva, right? Okay, no diwan. Okay.
ולא אוכל בשר ואינו שותה יין.
Okay, very good. But ואינו מברך, you don't say beracha when it's a beracha. Because patu me'amitzvot. ואינו מזמן. If there's other people you're eating with them, no zimun. Continue.
He doesn't have to, or he cannot.
No, אינו מזמן. He should not. Right.
ואין מברכין עליו, ואין מזמנין עליו, פטור מקריאת שמע, ומן התפילה, ומן התפילין, מכל מצוות האמורות בתורה.
You see, so he's patur min ha-tefillah. He's patur from the tefillin. And he's patur from all the mitzvot aseh, ha-amorot b'torah. He's dealing with the mitzvah of kevurat hamet. You see, the status of the onen is important. And continue.
בשבת מסב, ואוכל בשר ושותה יין, מזמן וברך.
Right. Shabbat is different because since you don't have the possibility of burying the dead body on Shabbat,
he's not busy with it.
So how can you possibly say, I'll sick with Misfat Kiburat Hamet, but it's Shabbat. So on Shabbat, the laws of Aninut are suspended, meaning he eats meat, he drinks wine, he says Berachot, he says Zimun, Umbarechin Alav. Continue.
The Rambam is patur. Almost
like, no, that's for the Chot Shabbat.
No, before Shabbat. Patur mikrat shema.
Yeah, okay.
If you say, okay, he's not busy right now, he's just waiting for whatever.
Right.
He wants the shema.
Okay, he's patur mikrat shema. You can't say asur, okay, but he's patur. It's a chobah. A woman is patura mikrat shema, right? She's patura. You can say asur, it's patur. That's correct. You see what I'm saying?
But if he wants to make a bracha shakol before drinking the water, he...
I don't think so. It says no. It doesn't say patur.
No, right. There's enon. Here's patur.
Yeah.
There's a difference between enon and patur.
Yeah. Enon means he shouldn't do it. Patur means he doesn't have to do it. Right. All right. Continue.
מברכין עליו, מזמין עליו, וחייב בכל מצוות האמורות בתורה, חוץ מתשמיש המיטה.
Right. So מברכין עליו, מזמין עליו, וחייב בכל מצוות האמורות בתורה. He had to do. But if he usually Friday night, let's say that was the time for the Talmidei Chachamim to be with their wives. No, because he onen. So yeah, meaning there is no aninut, but in this thing we say no tashmish amita.
נקבר המת, הרי זה מותר לאכול בשר, לשתות יין, מעט, כדי לשרות אכילה שבמעב.
אבל לא לרבות. So even though he's allowed to drink wine, once he buries the dead person, so now the transition is from the laws of aninut to the laws of avlut, and at that point, he's allowed to eat meat, he's allowed to drink wine, but Rambam is medayek and saying yes, he's allowed to drink wine, but not unlimited. He shouldn't be, getting drunk and so on. Okay, so now I want to read the Gemara. And now you'll understand the Gemara. So what happened? This person was preparing the food for the wedding, right? And we're saying, and his father died, or the mother of the bride died. So read it, Shlomo. Machnisin et hamet lecheder.
מכניסים את המת לחדר.
Okay. Now, what do? You intern the dead body to a separate room. Now, you remember we said before that when the onen wants to eat, he has to be in a separate room.
Right, now we're moving him.
So now we're going to move the met to a separate room, right? Again, it's a symbolic act. Technically speaking, the hatan or the kalla is onen or onenet. But they have the wedding and they prepared the food. So what are they going to do? So we're going to push the aninut. By putting the met inside a separate room, we're saying we're suspending the aninut because now we're oskim in another mitzvah. Right? The same way the aninut suspends other mitzvot, the mitzvah of the wedding is now going to be suspending the mitzvah of aninut. You understand?
The goal is because we don't want him to lose the money from the food that he prepared.
Exactly.
Or we don't want to push off the wedding.
We can't push off the wedding.
So it doesn't. If we're pushing off the wedding, it doesn't matter if they had the food ready or not.
No, I'm saying
Even
no.
if
If the food
wasn't ready,
if the food right, no. The legal theory is if the food wasn't ready, they say bury the body immediately.
But then you're still pushing off the wedding because then it's going to be out there.
No. Wait. Yeah. Meaning, if the food right, exactly. If the food wasn't ready, or they were about to slaughter the animal. Let's say they were about to slaughter the animal. Say, hold on, the father died. At that point, stop! Don't slaughter the animal. At this point, you postpone the wedding. You have to postpone the wedding.
Because the concern is more the food than postponing the wedding. Because
the concern is that people did not have money, unlimited money back then. And we're going to get into it a little more deeply. Meaning, I'm going to explain what this is. But yes, the concern is that people didn't have unlimited funds, so that he just spent all this money for the animal, for the bread, for the wine, whatever it is. And now you're telling him, oh, no wedding. Okay, that presents a difficulty. Is he going to be able to prepare for the wedding in a month with the same means and the same funds? Not clear. So we say, if you already slaughtered the animal, you're not going to push the wedding, you're going to push the burial. And by putting the body in a separate room, by interring the body, you're saying it's not metomutal lefanav, it's a symbolic act. That's a symbol. Misha metomutal lefanav is oronem, but he's not metomutal lefanav because the body is in a separate room. You understand?
So today, if the caterer would say, okay, you can do it later, I'm not going to charge you anything different,
right?
Then you would push it off.
Theoretically, correct. Well, we're going to see Pesach Halacha later on, but in theory, that would be the idea. That is correct. All right. So we said, מכניסים את המת לחדר, ואת החתן ואת הכלה, שלא מוריד, ואת החתן ואת הכלה. Now, I just want to bring to your attention that the word machnisim is elliptical. With the sentence, what?
Right, it sounds like you're bringing him to the room.
No. Machnisim et hamet. What I mean to say is the word machnisim. This is what the sentence means. It means machnisin et hamet lecheder, umachnisin et hatan v'et hakala lachuppah. You understand? It's an ellipsis, right? A circle has one central point, right? An ellipsis is like this, more like an oval shape, has two central points, right? So when we say that in grammar, the idea of an ellipsis means that same word applies to twice. So what I'm saying is, מכניסין את המת לחדר, ומכניסין את החתן ואת הכלה לחופה. It's important to understand how to correctly read rabbinic sentences. Okay, now, it could be nobody had an extra room. I mean, there were times where there's no extra room. So you put it in a designated space. That's why I wanted to read Harambam. You see, maybe put a curtain up. If there's no curtain, okay, maybe turn your back. But the point being, there should be a designated space for the met. Okay. Yes. Let's continue. All right, continue. Okay, then he's going to be. They do the chuppah very quickly. They have to do the chuppah. I mean, they're going to do the chuppah quickly because the dead has to be buried, right? So here's what we're going to do now. So first of all, we're going to tell him to be bo'el be'eliyat. He's going to be with his wife. As soon as he's with his wife, Kodesh. Okay. Now, the wedding, so to speak, has there's Shiv'at Yemei Mishteh. So Shiv'at Yemei Mishteh is the Medivre Sofrim. It's Mesam Medivre Sofrim. And that Mitzvah now started. Now, what is the theory here? The theory is as follows. Let's say, for example, I'm bringing like a more extreme, it's not a precise example, but just so you get the concept in your mind. Let's say that a person died on Pesach. Now, Pesach is a holiday, it's Yemei Simcha, yeah, right? Yemei Simcha, V'samachta b'chaggecha, v'hayita ach sameach. So there's a mitzvah to be sameach on the regel. Now, the person died. The mitzvah of the regel pushes the mitzvah of avlut. You have to bury the body, obviously. When we say you have to bury the body. But,
supersedes.
Since you already started with the mitzvah of the regel, the avlut is not going to push away the simcha. So the legal theory here is as follows. The person died. Don't bury him, because the minute you bury him, you're chayav in avlut. Don't bury him. Start the nisuim. Finish, consummate the nisuim, so to speak. Bo'el beilat mitzvah. She now lives in your house. Now, because she lives in your house, there is 7 days of simcha. Right? There's 7 days of simcha. Now you bury him. You have to bury him, obviously. Bet mitzvah, you cannot bury him. But the point is, at the moment you bury him, normally that's when the avlut starts. Remember we said Mishi Satem Golal? We said that that's when the avlut starts. Here you Sotem the Golal. I said, but I'm a chatan, and she's a kala, and we're in the middle of Yemei Simcha. Yemei Simchatenu. And since we're in the middle of Yemei Simchatenu, the avlut doesn't start. You understand the theory? Now, I compared it to Pesach, right? I compared the Simcha, the 7 days of Simcha, to 7 days of 7 days of Pesach. It's not exactly correct.
Right, because Pesach was already starting.
No.
The guy was already dead. You went out of your way to start the wedding.
Let's say a person died 5 minutes before sunset. Pesach. 5 minutes before Pesach, Sukkot. 5 minutes before Sukkot, he died. You can't bury him. There's no time. Comes Yom Tov, you don't bury him Yom Tov. So, what's going to happen? Let's say you bury him al yedei goy. Okay, there's no goyim, so you can't bury him with the goy. So now you're going to wait till Mosai Yom Tov. Okay, you're going to wait till Mosai Yom Tov. What's going to happen now? Well, I'm talking about in Israel, right? Because in America, the law is a little different because you have 2 days of the second day of Yom Tov. It's like Chol Legabemet. But let's say now it comes Mosai Yom Tov, and it's time to bury the niftar, to bury the manoach, let's say, and you have you're no longer onen, but the laws of avlut should start, no? But they don't start because it's Yom Tov. It's a Chol HaMoed. You make some pie, you see? So that would be more equivalent to the case here, right? The person died before the wedding. In the second example I gave, the person died before Sukkot. You buried him after Sukkot already started. In the wedding case, you buried him after the wedding the Nisuin already started. The 7 days of Simcha were triggered. You see the parallelism?
But in theory, he said that the only reason we allowed it was...
Doesn't matter.
Now
But the point is...
the part
of course, no, we understand that. We're creating this legal set. We're setting it up 100%. There's no question. That's correct. But I want you to understand from a legal perspective how we can be setting it up.
Right.
So we're setting it up based on the fact that once the regel starts, there's no more avelut till after the regel. So here, once the Shivat Yemei Mishteh start, there's no more avelut till after the Shivat Yemei Mishteh. Okay, you all understand that? Very simple law.
Then he's never going to be... Because with Pesach, he doesn't set avelut afterwards either, right?
No, he would.
He starts avelut...
Oh no, I'm sorry, Mechila, that's a bad example because the Pesach, you are correct. I gave a bad example. 100% correct.
Here he's still
let's read the Mishneh Torah here. Give me a moment. That's a very good point. Let's open it up. Give me a moment. Give me that version, and I will give you. You can take this version. Use 2 hands, please, because it's an old book and it's very frail. So give me a moment. Here we go.
So we can buy it first.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, where is it? I want to explain it to you so you see it. So you see here, since the Avelut didn't start, and I want to explain the law to you because you asked a very good question. Go look at Perek Yod. Hilchot Evel Perek Yod. I want to explain this to you. It's important. You asked a good question. What Albert asked is, wait, but if the Pesach comes, the Sukkot comes, it's Mevatel Yemei Shivah. You understand? Because it's not just, it's not like the, it doesn't postpone it like the Yemei Simcha of the wedding, but here it's Mevatel, so not, but that's incorrect, right? So I want to see if I can find the halakha for you. So I showed you in the book. It's not Mevatel the Yemei Simcha. It doesn't, I'm sorry, it's not Mevatel the Avelut. It suspends it. I'll explain to you the law in a moment, but let me see if we can find it out. Give me a moment, Perek Yod, and then we'll read it here in the book. So, Hilchot Evel, Perek Yod. This is Shabbat, Hargalim. Yeah. Now look at this. Look at Halacha Gimel. Shlomo, read Halacha Gimel, Hargalim.
הרגלים, וכן ראש השנה ויום הכיפורים, אין דבר מדברי אבלות נוהג בהם.
Right? So that's what I said. So far everything is correct? Everything I said is correct? Okay, continue.
וכל הקובר את מתו אפילו ד' שעה...
No, אפילו שעה אחת.
אפילו שעה אחת קודם הרגל, או קודם ראש השנה ויום הכיפורים.
בטלה ממנו
גזירת שבעה.
That's what you were referring to.
Right.
But for that to be the case, you have to bury him before the regel. The example I brought, he couldn't bury him before the regel. It was 5 minutes before, and they didn't have a chance to bury him. So since you didn't bury him before the regel, the regel is not mevatel the gezerat shiva. You understand the point?
So after the regel, he was still shiva.
Yes, exactly. Here would say. Wait 1 second. Okay. Yeah, exactly. After the regel, of course, he would sit, because it's only when he buried before that there is right there. Hakoveret meto baregel. Look at halacha hayet. Read halacha hayet IP. Hakoveret meto baregel.
הקוברת בתוך הרגל לא חלה על האבלות כלל.
So, if you bury, now, in the example I brought, let's say the person died 5 minutes before the regel, sunset, and they couldn't bury him, okay, even 1 hour before, even 2 hours before, until you get everybody ready, you can't bury him, okay. לא חלה על אבלות כלל, so it's a regel, there's no אבלות. ואינו
נוהג אבלות ברגל, אלא לאחר הרגל. מתחיל למנות שבעה.
After the regel, you see that, Albert? You understand? So that answers the question that you asked before. It was a very good question. It was such a good question that I made this effort to find halacha and to show you this law. All right. All right, so that's the law of Avlut. So now you understand the relationship between the Shivat Yemei Hatan, Mishteh, and let's say the 7 days of Pesach. Let's use that as 7 days of Pesach, right? You see the relationship? The legal theory is, I'm not burying him, I didn't bury him, and therefore the 7 days of the Mishteh started, just like the 7 days of Pesach start, that's it, you don't start Avlut till after the 7 days of Pesach. Here, the 7 days of the Mishteh started. You don't start the Avlut till after the 7 days of the Mishteh finished. Very simple law. The only thing that I just want to point out something. It's not. There's a slight difference between Pesach and Mishteh, and I'll tell you what the difference is. And this is the Gemara in Moed Katan, which is the main source for the laws of Avlut. I said this is one of the sources. Obviously, that's the real source is Perek Elu Migalachim, which is the 3rd chapter of Moed Katan. So it says there a slightly different point. It says, what's the reason that if Pesach started and then they buried the dead body on Chol HaMoed, what's the reason that we don't start Avlut on the Chag? And the answer is, Ateh Simcha de Rabbim Vedache Avlut de Yachid. Because the Simcha, Ateh Simcha de Rabbim, the Simcha is not a personal Simcha. It's a national Simcha. And the national Simcha pushes the private Avlut.
But we don't have that here with the
And
wedding.
here it's a little different. And you're going to see the law is a little different here. Okay? Again, I want to summarize it.
Yeah.
If it's Pesach, and somebody dies on Chol HaMoed Pesach, and you bury him on Chol HaMoed Pesach, and now you're not onen anymore because you buried the body, do you start the Avlut? No. Why not? I'm Avel. No, you're not Avel. Why? Pesach is a holiday. You already started the holiday. The 7 days of Pesach and 7 days of Simcha. But that's a national Simcha. The Gemara says, Ateh Simcha de Rabbim, the national Simcha of the Rabbim, which is Pesach. Vedache Avlut de Yachid. It's going to push away. You're an individual. Your Avlut, which is an individual Avlut, is not going to push away the Simcha of the national Simcha, the other way around. The national Simcha is going to push away the Avlut, whichever started. You understand the theory? Here it's a little different. Because here it's not Simcha de Rabbim. It's Simcha de Yachid. It's not a national holiday. It's just Simcha. And yet the Chachamim say, do it this way. Do it this way. Meaning, start your Simcha, so you get the Simcha in. As soon as you consummate the marriage, which is a formal starting of the Shivat Yemei Mishteh, let's say, immediately bury the body. You bury the body. Starting Avlut? No, you're not starting Avlut. You already started your Shivat Yemei Mishteh, so you're not starting the Avlut. You understand the legal theory?
Yeah.
All right.
If we're drawing the parallels with Pesach, we also have the option, let's say his father died earlier in the day. Do we say, like Pesach, okay, bury him quickly, and then you can do your wedding still, and that will cancel Avlut.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Pesach, if you died Erev Pesach in the morning,
Erev Pesach, okay, fine.
you say, okay, bury him, and then you
Of
go
course.
to Pesach, and Pesach cancels everything. So
Right,
at the morning of the wedding.
We always, when somebody passes away before the holiday, we always want to try to bury the person before the holiday, because the minute the holiday comes, it pushes the Shivat Yemei Avlut. That's it. It's over.
Cancels it.
It cancels it.
But do we have
If you
an
bury
option?
before the holiday, meaning if you bury before the holiday starts, then once the holiday comes, it cancels the 7 days of Avlut. There's no more 7 days of Avlut. Halas, it's over. But if you don't bury before the holiday, if you bury on Chol HaMoed, what's going to happen?
It pushes it.
It pushes it. It's very difficult. Very
With
difficult.
the wedding, is there an option to bury him before the wedding? If the father died in the morning and the wedding is that night.
Oh, say the father died in the morning.
So, Monday morning.
Okay,
The
and
wedding
now
is
the
Monday
wedding's
night.
at night.
You have time to bury
Pesach,
it.
or you don't understand what yours was.
Not Pesach, the wedding. Here, this case, in the Gemara.
No, once you bury him, the Avlut starts.
Well, why not say like Pesach? Okay, we have the wedding. Let him not lose money. Do the wedding.
No. Hold on a second. With Pesach, I was explaining that once the day of with Pesach, halakha l'maaseh, we're not going to want to wait till after sunset and not bury the dead. It's going to be the other way around. We're going to want to bury the dead before sunset so that we get the benefit of having Pesach cancel the Shivat Yemei Avlut, right? But the point is, I want you to understand the legal theory of the Chachamim. The legal theory of the Chachamim is based upon the fact that if you don't bury, for whatever reason, before the beginning of the holiday, whichever moed it is, right? Now that you're in the holiday, even though you buried the body on Chol HaMoed, you will not start the Avlut. So the point is, once you start the Shivat Yemei Mishteh, you don't start the Avlut, right? But it's a different situation. Of course, in Pesach, you're going to want to bury him before Pesach. You're not going to want to wait.
Yeah, but why can't we do that with the wedding and then say treat the wedding night like Pesach night?
No, because it's
The date is already set. The food's already cut.
No, because it's Avlut de Yachid and it's Simcha de Yachid. So you're not gonna the Avlut of the Yachid is not gonna be pushed away by Simcha of the Yachid. The same way the Simcha of the Yachid is not pushed by the Avlut of the Yachid. Once it started, it started.
Well,
So the
we're doing
Avlut
it
started.
like
No. The Avlut, the Shivat Yemei Mishteh don't push away Avlut. Okay. Once the Avlut started, you have to finish the 7 days of Avlut. All right. Once the Shivat Yemei Mishteh started, you have to finish the 7 days of Mishteh. Whichever started first, you finish it. And the whole point of this is to do the mishteh first. Okay, let's continue. We still not done with the baraita, by the way. Uboel beilat mitzvah. Shlomo, continue.
ובועל בעילת מצווה הוא פורש.
Okay, poresh, meaning that's it. He made the mitzvah poresh. Benoheg.
ונוהג 7 ימי המשתה.
Now, a poresh, because poresh, why is he poresh? Because he wants to now go bury his father, or she wants to go bury her mother. In the sense, it says poresh. Now, also, another point is once he's with the first time if she's betula, the first time you're with the woman, she has 7 days of nidah because of the dam betulim. So because there's blood, he's going to be poresh. I think that's actually the correct explanation. Poresh is because of the dam betulim. Because I misspoke. It's not because of the it's true that he's poresh and he's going to bury his father. But the word poresh is because of the dam betulim. She's
even Shabbat is poresh also. Even if he's avel, if he's onen on Shabbat, also Rambam brought halacha that Friday night.
Right. No, that was it. Right. That was because of the law of Aninu. Okay, continue.
So then here's the onen also.
No. Uboel b'nat mitzvah poresh because he has to be poresh. Continue.
ונוהג ואחר כך נוהג 7 ימי אבלות.
No, ונוהג 7 ימי המשתה. And then you have 7 days of partying, משתה in Malagi means partying, whatever, Sheva berachot and the special berachot and the special singing and food and all that. But the point is that he first buried, or she first buried her mother, he first buried his father. Okay.
ואחר כך נוהג 7 ימי אבלות.
And now that you completed the 7 days of mishteh, you go to the 7 days of avlut. Continue. This is all part of the same baraita, by the way. This is all the Tosefta. This entire thing, this is all part of the baraita. Continue.
בכל אותן הימים הוא ישן בין האנשים.
Right, it's really הוא יושן בין האנשים והיא ישנה בין הנשים. Read it.
הוא יושן בין האנשים והיא ישנה בין הנשים.
Okay, and now during those 7 days, meaning when he says אותן הימים, during the 7 days of mishteh, he's going to be sleeping with his friends. They're not going to sleep in the same bedroom. She's going to be sleeping with her friends. Interesting. Why? Because what's the reason that we do this? Normally, there is no obligation like this. Meaning, normally, it's true that after the first bi'ah of a betula, now she becomes nida because of the dam betulim. So now there's 7 days where she's nida, but they don't have to be porshim. But here we say she has to be porshim. Here we say, hu yoshen ben ha'anashim, ve'hi yeshena ben ha'anashim.
Because you know there's another 7 days that they also have to be separated?
No, and the reason is because even though the Yemei Mishteh started, it's not like Pesach, or it's not like Sukkot. On Pesach and Sukkot, there's no Avelut Kelal. There's nothing. But here, she's, by virtue of the fact that they started the Shivat Yemei Mishteh, he's not allowed to be with her and she's not allowed to be with him. Right? So the Shivat Yemei Mishteh, normally, he would be allowed to be with her. They would be allowed to be in the same room. They would be allowed to be, but because there is some zikah of avlut, we tell them to separate. It's a symbolic act, meaning halakha lema'aseh ben kach uben kach is not allowed to be with her for 7 days anyway. So once the Shivat Yemei Mishteh started, the Shivat Yemei Mishteh started. There's nothing, but normally we say be with her. But here, the avlut, there is some avlut there. You understand? This is a reflection of the fact.
But with avlut, you don't make them sleep in separate rooms.
No, but with avlut, there is no need to make this symbolic act. Meaning, you're right. There are surim betashwish amital. They don't have to sleep in separate rooms. But here, because it's Shivat Yemei Mishteh, you could be doing the symbolic act. Normally, the part of the simcha is that they're in the first week. They're in the same bedroom. They're happy. They, in separate beds, but they're happy and they're this and that. But now, hu yoshem ben ha'anashim, ve'hi yeshena ben ha'anashim. That's a symbolic act of the fact that we recognize that we just gavarnu et metenu and we should be avelim, and therefore for that they do the symbolic act. You understand the point? It's a symbol. The same way with the met, when you put the met in a separate cheder, it's a symbol, right? So here the symbol is.
Is there a reason why it's more than just sleeping in a separate room? It's no, go sleep by your friends.
Right. I mean, because it's a party. They're gonna be alone, so always the shosh benin. His friends are there. Her friends are there. That was the way it was. He stayed with the chatan and kala for the whole week, and it was a big celebration. So hu yoshen ben ha'anashim v'yeshen ben hanashim. All right.
So I was thinking it was because
but you know, it's part of
7 days, and he's gonna have another 7 days of avalut. So if it's thinking it's 14 days, maybe he's less likely to keep the whole 14 days.
Oh, Ivanti, interesting. That's a nice
Then she might become an Ida after 14 days at that point, and it's going to be a whole month, and he's going to have his mind.
Okay. It could be interesting. That's a nice point. I
As
like
opposed
that.
to normally 7 days, okay, fine, we'll wait a week, and then...
Look, it's a nice point. I think it's a symbolic act.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the symbol is, we recognize we're Avelim. Or she's Avela, or he's Avel, right? We recognize that. I mean, it's very important. Sometimes the black hat version of Judaism, at times they teach, not all of them and not all the time, but there are times when they teach people to act other than in a humanistic fashion, right? You know, halakha should never be used in a way that's offensive. Now here the fact is, her mother died or his father died, and we're making it. We're making a dispensation. They did what they did, but the met the cheder zeh. They got married quickly, but you can't ignore that the guy died. Oh, but according to halakha it's mutar. Okay, we understand according to halakha it's mutar, but he's still a human being. You can't ignore it. I think really it's important to understand the power of symbols and the power of being a human being, right? Like, again, sometimes I saw this in Israel. Guys like he's a big tzaddik, so he can, be crooked in business, and it doesn't matter. The halakha is with me, so I'll be a crook. Obviously, you're not supposed to be a crook of the halakha, but they never got to that part of Jewish law. So, but I'm saying that there is something to that, right? Not to act in a way that's hurtful or offensive, right? Or the horrible thing that they say that serving in the army is yihareg v'al namut v'lo nisharet. I mean, what a bizayon of Israel, what a bizayon of Am Yisrael that we have people like this in our midst. Namut v'lo nisharet. That's what you taught. Even if you believe that, I mean, even if in your heart you believe, I'll never serve in the army. Okay, but can you be sensitive to the people who who are there, who lost loved ones? You understand? So I think that's what this is. I think this is a symbol. And the same, hu yoshem ben anashim. Yes, something just happened. We can't ignore what just happened. And this Rabbi Yeshua ben anashim. All right, continue. ואין מונעים.
ואין מונעים תכשיטין מן הכלה. כל 30 יום.
Now another beautiful thing. Again, the humanistic aspect of the halakha is that for 30 days, she has a right to be with kashetet. Meaning, she just got married, and the husband is going to see her on Minan in, she's not nice, whatever. No. She can put whatever makeup she wants to. She can dress herself up nice. For 30 days, she does what she would normally do, what any kala would normally do, which is be beautiful for her husband.
Again, is jewelry or makeup?
Makeup. But I mean also jewelry. I mean, but it's referring to makeup, yeah. This is all part of the Baraita, by the way. You understand? This is all part of the same Tosefta. We read two to this sugya so far. We had two Toseftot. Just to put things in perspective, we had the original Tosefta at the beginning of Daf Gimel Amud Bet. At the top of the page, it said Detanya mipnei ma amru betulani said. That was the first one. And now this is the second Tosefta, and this second Tosefta is teaching us something very important. It's teaching us how important the law of Shakedu is. You'll see that in a moment, and I think you're probably already getting a sense of it. Let me just take a look at my notes, because I've been talking, and we've been reading the Gemara. I want to see if there's any points that I skipped. So, all right, good. So far I've good. So continue. Finish the Baraita. ודווקא.
ודווקא אביו של חתן או אמה של כלה.
Okay, right. Now this law applies specifically to the father of the Hatan or to the mother of the Kala. Meaning, if the father of the Hatan died, we're going to make this special dispensation. If the mother of the Kala died, we will make this special dispensation. We will not do it for any other Keruvim. We'll see why in a moment.
That's still part of the Baraita?
That's a very good question.
Because why would the Baraita aren't usually more dense? Why would they go out of their way to clarify? You should already be able to deduce it from the beginning.
I mean, first of all, you agree that I'll explain.
It's already clear from the introductory statement.
The question is clear. I'm going to answer it in a moment. I just want to finish this sentence, and then I'll answer why the Baraita hasn't clarified. So, but just bear with me for a couple more minutes. ודווקא
אביו של חתן או
אמה
של כלה.
Right. Why? דלקה איניש.
דלקה איניש תטרח להוא.
דלקה איניש תטרח להוא. Because otherwise there was going to be nobody there to prepare the Suda for them. I'll explain this. I want to finish the Baraita and then I'll explain everything. אבל. איבחה לא. That's the end of the Baraita.
No, the Aramaic is part of the Baraita.
Okay. So you're 100% correct for observing that there was a switch to Aramaic. First of all, it says Vedavka. Davka is Aramaic. Vedavka, aviv shel chatan o ima shel kala. There it's quoting the Baraita. So it has to quote the Baraita. The Baraita is in Hebrew. It's the beginning of the Baraita. So this Vedavka, and this is Deleka inish tetarach lehu. Okay. So first of all, my father, alav shalom, said, and he said, I don't have proof for this, but he believed this is a Severoidic interpolation into the Baraita. The Vedavka, aviv shel chatan o ima shel kala, is the Severoidic interpolation. And when we say that it comes from the Sevarim, we don't mean that in a derogatory manner, like, how dare they, or we don't mean that at all. I mean, but we're trying to understand the text, and we're trying to understand what happened, and apparently that's what happened. Now, right. Now you could also see that the Dafka is kind of ignored, because later on you could have Amar Afram bar Papa, Amar Chista, Lo Shanu Ela Shenatan Mayim, right? Right, so you see it's kind of an interpolation also by virtue of the fact that the Vedavka, Aviv Shel Hatan, or Ima Shel Kala, should have been in a different part of the Baraita. It said, Are Shehaya Pito Afui, Utachot Avuach, Beyenom Azug, Umet Aviv Shel Hatan, or Ima Shel Kala. מכניסים את המת לחדר ואת החתן ואת הכלה לחופה. ודווקא אביו של חתן ואמא של כלה. Why is it here at the end? So number one, this phrase is in Aramaic. Number two, it seems to be misplaced. Right? When they talk about Aviv Shel Chatan and Ima Shel Kala, that's what they should have said. The Davka Aviv Shel Chatan, the Davka Ima Shel Kala. Why is it saying here at the end? So for these reasons, my father reached the conclusion that this is indeed from the Sevoraim.
And it's redundant, because it would have said Horav Shel Hatan o Kala.
No, so now I want to address that question. When it said Hayta Pito or Shaya Pito Afui, is it Davka Pito Afui? Let's say I don't have bread in the wedding. The law doesn't apply?
Or any other.
Or with Vachot Tabuach. That's okay. Let's say there was no meat in the wedding either. Let's say it's a vegan wedding. I don't know, they decide to make torture the people with vegan stuff, tofu, whatever, hazat. But yeah, sometimes people do that. Kaparat abonot, go to a place, vegan. It happens. It happens, and we accept it. We accept every thing like this. But let's say it was vegan with vachot tabuach, no wine, no alcohol, mazut. So instead of that, they had pasta. The pasta is actually not bad. Italian food wedding. Let's bring it up to a nice everything is right with that. Yes, okay. You have pesto sauce. You have basil. Yeah, beautiful Italian food. Nothing wrong with that. Great. But no baguettes. Okay, no baguettes. I want to say no pito afui. We have great pasta and pizza and all these great foods. Okay. Does this law apply? Yes, it applies. So what do we see here when it says pito afui, tachot avuach? It's an example. So when it says emotional aviv shel chatan, the emotional kala, what would you say? Example.
Yeah, but it's going specifically to this example and to that
example. Doesn't matter. But the point is the same way. You say the same thing, specifically to tachot avuach, specifically mazug. So the point is, you see that there is a slight ambiguity. And now you know what the Sevoraim, they added what they added. Because there's probably some people who say, Dafka pito afur. No, nobody says Dafka pito afur. So then they said, nobody says Dafka aviv shel hatan. So that's how the Sevoraim added the Dafka, right. So that's, I think that's a brilliant point, by the way, inside of it. I think it's a brilliant point. And you see how the Chachamim, they were on the money. All right. Okay, so now, why is it specifically the father of the Hatan? Because if the father of the Hatan dies, there's nobody there to do the work, to prepare the Seudah. Now, it's interesting, back then, in the Middle East, in Syria, I know my father tells me, but he also tells me when he was growing up in Buenos Aires,